I'm Representative Gerry Pollet. I represent the 46th District, which is most of Northeast and North Seattle, basically from the University of Washington all the way up to the city line, and from Lake Washington over to just past Aurora Avenue. Our district has the highest concentration of University of Washington faculty, staff, and students in the state, and we also have North Seattle College. It's a very diverse district in terms of economic wealth. We have one of the wealthiest enclaves in Seattle and the state along Lake Washington, and we have some of the most diverse and poorest residents of Washington in the Lake City and Northgate areas and Bitter Lake areas. So it's a very diverse district, and our constituents in the 46th care very, very deeply about education issues and climate and the environment. I think a lot of people feel like they live in Seattle because they want to have access to Lake Washington, Puget Sound, trails in the Cascade Mountains and the Olympic Mountains and Peninsula. And so the quality of life in Washington and education are things that our constituents care passionately about. I came to the legislature in 2012 after spending decades working on advocacy for funding our schools as our paramount duty, trying to make sure that we work to make sure that our students with disabilities are given the educational opportunities they deserve like everyone else, and to make access for higher education more open and accessible for every resident who wants to follow a pathway to opportunity in the state of Washington. And having spent decades as an environmental advocate, running one of the region's largest environmental groups, working for the cleanup of the most contaminated place in America, the Hanford Nuclear Reservation. So I continue to focus my work in the legislature on our paramount duty, education. And of course, I'm also working on improving our state's response to the challenge of climate change and making sure that we protect the air and water of everyone in Washington state. I teach public health at the University of Washington, and one of the great tragedies of the American healthcare system and our understanding of the relationship between environment and health is that much of our health deficit is due to things like air pollution. And where people live in Washington state, in the Seattle area, if you live in one zip code, you may live 12 years longer on average than someone in another zip code. A lot of that is due to things like access to primary health care. It's also due to the air pollution burden, contamination, and many of the other environmental factors that we can and should be making a difference on. My constituents often see me out race walking all across the 46th District. People may remember Bill Nye, the science guy from Almost Live, was Mr. Speedwalker. I don't quite look like Mr. Speedwalker. He exaggerated it, but it's a pretty unique sport, and a lot of my constituents are used to seeing me from the north end to the south end of the district, race walking through their neighborhoods. I often get people who roll down their windows and say, "Hi, Gerry," or while I'm going past in spring and summer, someone's home and they're gardening, they'll say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something," which is really nice. We've got great parks in the 46th District, Green Lake, where you get thousands of people running and walking, and Magnuson Park, which has miles of opportunity to walk trails. And but one of the things I like to talk about is the fact that you can go from Magnuson Park in Lake Washington, 12 feet above sea level, to hundreds of feet above sea level in a mile. And if I'm at just reach the top of the hill, please don't expect me to be able to talk to you because I'll be really out of breath.